Oh, I'm gonna tear this movie a new one. Play the intro. Alright guys, let's review the movie Legion. In this movie, God is unhappy with us. So unhappy, in fact, that he sends angels to possess humans in an attempt to end the world's population. The Archangel Michael decides to disobey orders, becomes a fallen angel, and travels to a small diner in order to reach Charlie, a pregnant woman. Working with the other humans there, Michael must protect Charlie and her unborn baby, who is humanity's last hope against Armageddon. Now, I do understand that this movie might be attacked because it seems to take a gigantic shit on religion. I mean, when you're naming one of the not-so-nice angels in this movie after one of the most well-known angels in the two biggest religions in the world? Yeah. And when the creations of God better seem to understand the solution to a problem than the Lord himself? Ooh. Note to self, stop sounding like I'm taking a shit. But to all the religious people that might get offended, my advice is just to see this movie as taking place in an alternate dimension, or something like that. It'll make the movie much easier to watch that way. So let's briefly look at the good in this movie. To its credit, the film does at least have an understanding of how to keep its audience on the edge of their seats during certain moments. Some of the action scenes are intense, and the horror scenes have the right tone and atmosphere. Acid that can burn down to the bone? Done. How about evil grandmothers? Done. Scary ass little kids. Done and done. Actually, now that I think about it, little kids in horror movies are always kind of messed up and scary. Huh. The look of the possessed people in the angels has been well done. The possessed people look scary enough without being over the top, and the angels come across as noble and good, but fearsome looking at the same time. I also think that the cast chosen was a solid one. No one came across to me as a bad actor, and I think they all had great potential, especially Paul Bettany. Which brings me to my next point. Ugh. Let's do the bad. The trailer makes it look like this movie is full of nothing but horror and action, but that's a lie. Here's what the movie is actually like. Blah 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 blah. Who's there? Who's there? Nobody seems to understand me, and just nobody seems to know what's going on with my life, and I'm just so mad at people. I'm so glad we're having this conversation instead of trying to find ways to keep ourselves alive. But go on ahead, go on. Okay, so the dialogue scenes aren't 20 minutes long, but it definitely feels that way. I don't have a problem with long dialogue scenes, because there's people like Quentin Tarantino that can do them well. But the characters in Tarantino movies only seem like they're rambling, because actually we're learning so much about them through all the dialogue they're having. But here, the characters really are rambling. For all the dialogue there is, the cast of characters just still come across as cliches. Noble guy who's trying to do the right thing? Ding! Angry black guy who had to grow up tough? Ding! Young pregnant chick that's just not ready for the responsibility? Ding! Motherfucking ding! The dialogue does nothing for the characters or the overall plot. So much of it comes across as obvious exposition, which shows me just how lazy the writing in this movie is. And I could tell the dialogue scenes weren't working for me when characters started to die off, and I could have cared less. So for the most part, the talking scenes didn't develop the characters well, didn't advance the plot much, were somewhat boring at times, and worst of all, they completely messed up the pacing of this movie. Oh, and one final criticism I have is about the logic of this movie. Now this part I can't even go into too much without spoiling the movie for you guys. Honestly, I try to be so fair to this movie, and I try to come up with reasons for so many things that didn't make sense, but in the end, I just said whatever. Although this movie has some good horror and action moments, I don't feel like those two things make it worth it to sit through the entire thing just to look out for them. This is another case of a movie where the idea itself seems original and interesting, but the execution both in the writing and directing just falls through. And in all honesty, the script feels like a short one padded out so it could become the standard movie length. Overall, the bad pacing, unnecessary dialogue, cliched characters, and general plot logic problems are just too much of an issue for me to really be able to recommend this movie for anyone. Alright guys, that's all I have to talk about today. You can click on the annotation above or the link in the sidebar to go to my main channel. And until next time, my name's Ahmad Khan, and oh, you don't think I'm easily pleased anymore? Isn't this awesome? See, I told you I could dislike a movie. I told you. Now you know, sucker. Now you know. In your face. In your face. Oh, what's that? Is this a finger? Oh, look. Back to you, Phil.